India has stopped the Delta variant in its tracks and without having access to the vaccines. How? Ivermectin.
Caution. Your paradigm is about to shift at the intersection of fact and reason. You're entering Kingston Country.
I'm Dan Kingston, and you're listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast. Ivermectin has been approved by the FDA and can be prescribed by any doctor. It's been around since 1996 as a cheap and safe medication. Very, very few side effects, and it will treat worms, lice, other parasites. That's what it's been used for since 1996. Ivermectin is on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines. I like it less already. No, I'm just kidding. Doctors around the world are reporting ivermectin is helping against COVID-19. Yet it's getting real big pushback from everything from big pharma and the medical establishment to the government, from Joe Biden. The FDA wrote, "You are not a horse." You see, the FDA and CNN are falsely saying that ivermectin is a horse drug. Well, it's been prescribed for people, like I said, for decades, for worms and lice. It's true, you don't want the horse dosage, but that should be common sense, that you don't want the horse dosage. So why is the FDA, why is the medical establishment and big pharma, why are they all attacking ivermectin when it looks like the preliminary science is that it's helping to treat COVID, and the anecdotal evidence coming out of India shows that, it could be a causation. We got to be careful. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor, but it seems to be common sense. India didn't have access to the vaccines by and large, and they were using ivermectin. Either India reached herd immunity on its own and it has nothing to do with ivermectin, or it does. But we have to take a close look, which is why the drug is getting lots of attention right now, and things are showing that it's effective. Dr. Paul Marik is a widely published medical doctor, and he wrote that if ivermectin was universally distributed at a dose that just costs 10 American cents in India, it's about a cost of a Big Mac in the U.S., ivermectin would save countless lives, crush variants, eliminate the need for endless big pharma booster shots, and end the pandemic all over the world. That's a quote from Dr. Paul Marik. He's a widely published medical doctor. You can Google it. Dr. Michelle Liebman owns an urgent care center in Florida. And now this is more anecdotal because she's been prescribing ivermectin to unvaccinated COVID-19 positive patients. And this is her quote. She says, "I've had a handful of patients that have definitely felt that it helped them and that they felt better pretty rapidly. And then I've also had some patients that really didn't see much difference," Liebman said. "I have anecdotal evidence that it is helpful. I don't see a downside. It's cheap, little side effects." And that is the consensus, that it is little side effects and cheap. You can't say that, by the way, for the vaccines, for the COVID vaccines. The side effects, of course, they tried to spin it as minimal, but let's face it, if you're an 80-year-old person and you get the second dose, that's gonna wipe you out. So full disclosure, I'm fully vaccinated. Dan Kingston's fully vaccinated. I did so after considering multiple factors, a Delta variant, and calculating my own risks. I'm exhausted of wearing a mask. And if you're a younger person, maybe you'd come to a different consideration, given that you might not be as susceptible. But, if you're a middle-aged person or older and with the Delta variant spreading, I did make that calculation. But what's better for an individual, for instance, what's better for you or Dan Kingston as an individual, might not be what's best for society at large. The question is the vaccines, are they contributing to an accelerated rate of mutations? Could the vaccines cause Delta variant by putting increased pressure on the mutation, on COVID-19 to mutate? And that's a real thing. Doctors are talking about it. It's being written about. Again, I'm not a doctor, but but I made the calculation I should get vaccinated. That doesn't mean that it's the best thing for the entire population. Lots of people believe, and they're saying that without herd immunity, we're never fully going to get over COVID-19. So I've presented you some doctors, some quotes from doctors. Dr. Michelle Liebman, the owner of the urgent care in Florida, and Dr. Paul Merrick, who's a widely published medical doctor. I also want to share with you what this research professor, Dr. Charles Hennekins, writes, because you should know what the doctors are saying, what the researchers are saying, and then come up with your own opinion on whether you think ivermectin is being unfairly pushed back on by the medical establishment and big pharma. And then maybe we'll explore why. Could it be the big money? Could it be that a cheap, effective treatment for COVID-19 is going to take a lot of profit away from big pharma, who've developed these vaccines and put so much money into the vaccines? Could that be why? Could the government be bought off by big pharma in the same way it's bought off by the military-industrial complex? I believe so. But let me share with you Dr. Charles Hennekins, research professor at Charles E. Schmidt College of Medicine at Florida Atlantic University. There's basic science that suggests that there's a reduction of the viral load of COVID-19 virus and some uncontrolled clinical observations suggesting benefit. But we have no randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trials of sufficient size and duration to show any efficacy of this drug. So there's Dr. Charles Hennekins trying to, play both sides, right? He doesn't want to be an outcast in the medical society, but is coming clean and reporting there is basic science that suggests there's reduction of the viral load. And he's talking about ivermectin. So there's no randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trials of sufficient size and duration. Well, you could put your restrictions and your limits on anything. Again, the emergency authorization use of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, and it's not like they had huge trials before that started being used on medical workers, right? And so there's a real question now. Why is this cheap and looks to be highly effective treatment being resisted? Why? I think I know why. I think you know why, but we're shining a light on it. Dr. Ben-Hur Lee, a professor of microbiology at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, Sirius Medical Institution, says, if ivermectin has been shown to inhibit ivermectin has been shown to inhibit a broad spectrum of DNA and RNA viruses with no underlying unifying logic. I understand why low and middle income countries hold so many trials in the hopes that ivermectin works. It's cheap and it has been around for decades. So if ivermectin is positively useless at preventing COVID-19, right, like the MSM, mainstream media, and medical establishment are stating, why does it continue to be clinically tested around the world as a potential treatment? And why did India, how are they able to eradicate the Delta variant? These are real questions. And just because people are being dumb and taking a horse version of the drug that's meant for a horse dosage and going to the poison control because of that, does not mean this is a horse medication, and that if you're not, if your doctor prescribes it for you, it's a safe drug. And that's the truth. It has not been approved for COVID-19, so it's off label if a doctor prescribes it for you. And Dan Kingston, I'm not a doctor, and I have no way to say, as a doctor, this is effective or it's not effective. Okay. I'm reporting what doctors are saying, and I'm reporting both sides of it. Okay. There's not enough trials, but remember, we were all taking the vaccines on emergency use authorization. Now, today, the FDA has approved the Pfizer vaccine, and this replaces the emergency use authorization. But here's the question. and I've asked it again, but I've asked it before, I'll ask it again. Are the COVID-19 vaccines contributing to an accelerated rate of mutations such as the Delta variant? And if so, then isn't there an ethical dilemma right here? While a vaccine might be helpful for you or for the individual, is it going to be worse overall because we're going to depend on these booster shots forever, and they're going to make more and more money? Again, without herd immunity, we're never going to fully get over COVID-19. I'm not saying just go out and get it, but if we could have something, a treatment like Ivermectin, that allows you to get the disease but without getting sick from it, then you could really reach a herd immunity such as what looks to have happened in India. And this is the big hope for countries that can't afford the very expensive, very complex vaccines being produced by Pfizer and Moderna. We are so lucky in this country to have access to it. But now that I'm fully vaccinated, I do not feel like I should be wearing a mask everywhere I go. And of course, the crazy people that run the country want us to wear masks all the time, regardless of vaccination status, regardless of the science. So you make your own calculations and you stay safe out there. COVID-19's real. If you're a young person, you probably don't have much to fear at all. But for older people, you see why they're looking at ivermectin, why people are looking at the vaccines, even though there's a question mark with the heart inflammation, that it can potentially cause serious heart issues. Very rare, but is potential side effect of the vaccine in young people. And young people, of course, aren't very susceptible to COVID-19 at all, getting very sick from it. So very concerning. The vaccine was approved by the FDA, even though it causes, in rare circumstances, heart inflammation in young people. So where do we go from here? You make your own calculation. You have no good options right now. But we can't live in fear. We have to live with faith and trust in the future.
Kingston Country. You've been listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast.